If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, oh my goodness, what is happening? Is that really me? You are not alone. If you are like me in your mid 40s and you are starting to see changes in your skin and in your body, you are not going crazy. You are not alone. I'm Dr. Mina. Welcome to my channel, The Skin Reel, where I help people learn about their skin so that they can make informed and educated decisions about their skin health. Sound good? Let's get into it. This is my weekly recap episode where I break down my key takeaways from my most recent podcast interview with Dr. Corinne Erickson. Dr. Erickson is a board certified dermatologist in Atlanta. She is a colleague. She's also a friend, and we're the exact same age. And we were at a conference not too long ago, just talking about the changes we personally were seeing in our skin. I had never thought about my neck before, but all of a sudden I'm noticing some crepiness. I'm noticing some banding. I'm noticing more fine lines around my eyes. If you want to hear the full episode with Dr. Erickson, I will link it at the end of this quick video and be sure to check it out. Now, 40s hits a little differently. I feel like in my 20s and 30s, I could kind of fake it till I make it. I could burn the candles at both ends. I didn't have to take care of my body. I didn't have to maintain enough sleep and manage stress. But now that I'm in my 40s, it's getting real and I do have to do those things. And I've realized how important taking care of my body is in my skin health. And I talk about this a lot, how skin health is whole body health. A lot of times we're focusing on taking care of our skin from the outside in, which yes, there are amazing things we can do, but skincare also starts by taking care of our body. And I love that Dr. Erickson does mention this towards the end of our podcast. Kind of her top 3 tips is to have compassion, right? In our 40s, this is a busy decade for a lot of people, women especially. We have careers or families, we have spouses, we have aging parents. We may have our own medical conditions we're dealing with. There's a lot of stress, a lot of things going on, and we're trying to be a lot of things to a lot of people. And we're also trying to look effortless and beautiful and like we're 22. And it's just really difficult when your collagen starts to decline, even in your 20s. Your hormones are fluctuating. You may have more androgen sensitivity, and you're noticing changes that come with aging. In this episode, I love that Dr. Erickson really breaks down what you need for healthy skin, compassion, taking care of your body, and how to adjust your skincare routine and perhaps some treatments you may want to consider. Now, when you're in your 40s, you may have noticed if you're in your 40s that your skin is not as dewy or glowy or oily as it was when you were younger. And that's because we lose hydration in our skin as we get older. And guess what? That makes our skin look more dull, lackluster, and it accentuates fine lines and wrinkles. So that's why hydration is so key. I really didn't need a moisturizer when I was in my 20s or 30s, and now I definitely do. Dr. Erickson's a big fan of hyaluronic acid, products like Hydrinity. I find that a hydrating moisturizer at the drugstore, I'm a fan of CeraVe, also La Roche-Posay. I love their products. I find I just get a thicker version of that or more of a petrolatum like Aquaphor Vaseline, an ointment can be really helpful for my skin. And sometimes I just have to really slug it on in the evening to keep my skin hydrated. Another tip that she recommends, and of course I do as well, is to be on a retinol or retinoid if you aren't already. A lot of times by the time you're in your 40s, you're done childbearing, and so you can really be on these. Caveat is that they do make your skin dry. You may not be able to tolerate a prescription like tretinoin, although I'm a big fan of that. But you can look for over-the-counter retinols. You can also look for things like Skin Better Science. My little kitty's joining us. She's not in her 40s. She's only 5. Skin Better Science makes a great retinol, and adapalene is a great over-the-counter product, kind of midway between a retinol and retinoid. So try those out. Use it with a moisturizer. Don't forget your neck, chest, and hands. You can use it on all those areas. And if you're in your 20s or 30s, go ahead and start using it in those areas as well. It's really helpful. Don't wait. We also dive into acne, how this is a problem in women in their 40s, probably due to a number of different things, maybe some increased insulin sensitivity that's making you have more oil production, fluctuating hormones, of course, creating more oil production, or more androgen sensitivity due to declining estrogen levels. So, making sure to treat this acne while also hydrating your skin is super important and critical. Now, there are a ton of things that can be done to the skin and procedures, and it can be so overwhelming. I call it the hot girl hamster wheel. We get on it and we just keep adding stuff, and we're not really sure if anything is working or why we're doing it, but we're spending a lot of time and money on these things. And so I would just first caveat to say, you don't have to do all the things. Just because your best friend got a treatment, it doesn't mean you need that treatment. So you first need to figure out what you're trying to fix or solve. Maybe you have some precancers from sun damage or some discoloration from sun damage or melasma. Maybe you have more skin laxity or you are a super fit, you work out all the time and you've noticed that you have some hollowing of your skin because of that. So what treatment you need in your 40s is really dependent on what bothers you and your particular bone structure, what you look like, things like that. So it's hard to just say, yes, everyone in their 40s should do X, Y, or Z. I do think a little bit of Botox, if you're not already doing it, or I should say botulinum toxin, is a great way, especially between the eyebrows, to really soften those scowl lines that can start to get etched in, as well as what we call the marionette lines down around the corners of our mouth. Adding a little bit of botulinum toxin there, Botox, can be really nice in lifting. Also, doing a little Botox in the lower half of the face. If you're in your 20s or 30s, you might be doing some baby Botox in the upper face. But once you hit 40s, that's when it's time to start considering doing some toxin in the lower face, your neck, those bands right under your jawline. That can give a very nice, beautiful lift, and you don't look weird or fake. If you've got sun damage or freckling or discoloration, then some lasers can be really helpful to remove that. And then there are also lasers like a CO2 or an erbium laser that do a beautiful job of building collagen. And I think of my 40s as my collagen banking era, where I still have estrogen around. And so I want to do everything I can to boost my collagen. There's so many things out there you can do, supplements, LED masks, all these things. But I really think one of the best, biggest bangs for your buck is to actually stimulate collagen with something called Sculptra, where we take the Sculptra or PLLA particles, dissolve them in water, and then we inject them in the face or neck or hands, wherever you want to boost collagen. I feel like it's just a very precise way. We know it works. It's backed by science. And I think just doing even a vial of Sculptra every few years, what we call a Sculptra sprinkle, can give supernatural results. And again, help bank that collagen, because we know once menopause hits, which the average age is 51, but that means a lot of women are going to experience it in their 40s. There is a drastic up to 30% drop in collagen. And so again, doing everything you can to boost that collagen, and Sculptra is one of my favorite ways to do that. I can't talk about skincare in your 40s without mentioning hair. And I do find that hair loss is a big problem for women, way bigger than I ever realized. And I even noticed it in myself that I was getting a little more scalp showing through. I felt like my forehead was getting bigger because my hairline was starting farther back. And I have very thick hair, and most people would not have looked at me and thought she has hair loss, but I could see it. I could notice it was a difference from what I had before. And this is super, super common. Again, lots of reasons: stress, busy life, illness, perhaps being on a GLP-1 agonist like Ozempic, semaglutides, increased androgen sensitivity, decreasing estrogen, perhaps some vitamin deficiencies like vitamin D. These can all contribute to hair loss. So it's not typically a one easy, quick fix for that. So seeing someone like a dermatologist who can evaluate you and help you determine what kind of hair loss is key, maybe draw some blood, see if you need a supplement. Hair supplements are super big and popular, and I do like them. Nutrafol's a big one. I'm a fan of Inner Glow. I find that they've got a nice product, doesn't have too much biotin, which can be dangerous in high doses, can be a great fertilizer. oral medications like minoxidil, topical formulations, minoxidil. There are tons of compounded ones now. And I'm a big fan of exosomes for hair loss as well as PRP injections. So lots of things that can be done. Again, this does not mean you have to do everything. And really, when it comes to aesthetics and beauty and F40s, it's so important to realize it is okay to look different than you did in your 20s. It is okay to have some lines or a little bit of thinning skin. We are not necessarily trying to stamp out any sign of aging whatsoever. I find that that is where people start looking weird and bizarre, but really focusing first on taking care of your body, managing your stress, looking at your diet. If you're eating a lot of processed foods and high sugar, that's going to break your collagen down faster. No smoking, no tanning, no getting sunburns, huge accelerators of sun damage and premature aging. And focus on just good, simple skincare. It does not have to be complicated, does not have to be expensive. And then use the procedures, the in-office procedures, as sort of the icing on the cake, the last 10% to get you where you want to be to help you maintain beautiful skin. Because again, in my opinion, it's not about anti-aging, it's really about pro-aging. When I think of pro-aging, I think of it having three prongs. There's prevention, there's maintenance, and there's regeneration. Please don't underestimate the value, the importance, and the results that can happen with just simply prevention and maintenance. These are key. And then the regenerative procedures can be helpful, especially if you have a specific concern you're trying to address. If you want to hear the full episode, highly recommend it. Be sure to check it out here, and I will see you next week.